Good evening, everybody. How we doing today? Great turnout. Much appreciate the attendance. We'll go ahead and get started. You guys don't get to see this, but Dan has a screen running with a camera off the dash of a snowmobile and looking out the back of a groomer, and that had my attention. So we could sit here and watch that for a while if we want, and then get back to the meeting. Okay. Let's look around the room and see. We're a little short on board of directors tonight. I apologize for that. Roger's out in Florida. Don't feel bad for him, but he is paying like $200 a round of golf. So he's welcome to do that. Cindy had a family issue today that she's out taking care of. I think Debbie is traveling to their grandchild, and I'm missing somebody that isn't here, I think. But who we do have is Rick on the board. Rich. Sorry, Rich. I see Jake walked in. He's hiding somewhere right up front. He's hiding. Okay, and then there's Dan and myself and Mark over there, and I think that's it. So we have a quorum should we need it for some reason, or so if we have to stop and let somebody out to go to the bathroom, we can vote on that. We'd be okay. Okay, very good. Well, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we did our introductions, opening comments. Did you get your 50-50 raffle, everybody? Oh, yeah. Or buy two? It's all a good cause. See Sandy? She wore bright yellow just for this purpose. Okay. And that all goes for the backpack program, of course. And at the end, after we close the meeting out, we will do that drawing. Thanks also to the VRC for hosting again. I'm not sure what everybody else thinks, but I absolutely love it here for the purpose that we're not hauling all the equipment around. It's easy to get set up. It's large. It's predictable, right? The spotted cow is always cold. And so that's my thought. I see a lot of heads nodding. That's good to hear. Much appreciated. So thank you to them. They are extremely gracious and helpful to us. Okay, meeting sponsors, IHC. That is Roger's company run by his son down in around the state line. World Snowmobile headquarters in Eagle River, of course, great partners for us in a lot of ways. Back and forth. Erica Dumas, realtor with Redman Realty. I don't see her here tonight, but we thank her for that sponsorship. A1 Lapping and Machine and Bodycraft, once again. And as the note says, we could fit one more on here. If anybody knows somebody or has a business they'd like to have on here, we would sure appreciate having you. Okay, Secretary's report. We expected Cindy for that report. She's not here to have it. I think we can just move past it. It doesn't pay to, unless everybody's read it and is comfortable with it, nobody wants to see it before we vote, we'll entertain a motion to approve it and second to that and vote if there are no, and it does go out, it is on the website, you can get it, so. If we're all comfortable with it, is there a motion on the floor?
I did review it, and it was a great report, so I'm going to make that motion.
Second? Second, thank you. Thank you, Pam. Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. This does remind me, Dave is also out traveling, but he did ask me to take a peek at the treasurer's report, and I'll give some headlines, and we can get into some details if we need to, but generally not. So this is the close of September, which would be the fourth month for the fiscal year for us. So it's a quarter plus 1 month is what this report is on. And to date, we are like exactly on the expense budget, like to the T, just as we planned on it. And year to date, we're probably, we're about $4,000 under. Now, expenses were high for the month. It's just about $20,000. You won't normally see that. The bulk of that is the payouts for the cash raffle. And if you have any questions about that, I would say see Charlie. Okay, grooming expenses, not a lot going on there, of course. there's a little maintenance activity, and there will be some grooming revenue coming in. Yet the fall payment just needs some audit by the state, and then that should be ready to go. I understand pretty quick. The fall payment is kind of a precursor to the larger payment, which comes near the end of the year. It's predicated on last year, primarily made up of maintenance activities. And again, there's a fair amount of audit activity that goes into that. I wasn't aware of that. So that's kind of holding that up. So, so we're holding our own there. On the revenue side, we are about $4,000 off for the month for revenue, but that's really decimal dust, as the accountants call it. It's a push or a take month over month, and that shakes itself back out. There's really nothing in there of substance that would change that number. And then the year-to-date revenue, yeah, we're about $6,000 behind on that. And nothing stands out here in of itself. Trail maps, we were spot on. That's a nice little project for us, about $22,000, and we haven't sold a map yet. That's just in the ads and the signage. And dues, we're behind on dues, and it's interesting, this is in the Vilas County report, but year over year now for the last 3 or 4 years, year to date, so end of September, new registrations and trail passes is down like 20%. It's falling, and it's falling quickly. And I think that the year shakes itself out if it snows, but it seems to me that now that we can register a snowmobile while it's warming up and buy a trail pass and have that on your phone while the sled's warming up or you're putting your mittens on, people wait till it snows. And I think we're seeing a lot more of that as the sole reason why. But there's no doubt we need a good year of snow this year to bring some hype back into the sport. So we had a little bit today. I don't know, Jake, did you ride this afternoon? You might have. You sure? Wow. Not yet, huh? Okay. Dan has 3 groomers going out tonight, but he called them off. Okay. But revenue for the month, $23,300, budget $24,900. So we're right there. Year to date, we're off about $6,000, but again, that'll move itself around a little bit. And to me, the fun report is the balance sheet. What do we really have? And I don't know if anybody sees this in detail or not, but if you do and you read them correctly, you'll find a couple of interesting things that happen in these reports. For one, we take a depreciation on the machines of about $105,000 a year, but we generally put about $50,000 into the bank every year based on income over expenses, which is a very healthy thing. I know a lot of clubs don't have that, and we have it because of the number of sponsors we have, the number of activities we have. You know, we turn them things down because we don't have the people to work them all, or we burn themselves out. But we're blessed with, we could probably do another 10 fundraisers if Sandy wanted to get the food for it, right? And we just can't. Yeah, she'll probably talk a little bit about that. But anyway, the $105,000 expense we take on depreciation is really fake money. It doesn't really happen. As long as we take care of the groomers, and they're a relevant piece of equipment, which they are, they hold the value. So we really look a lot better than what this balance sheet shows us. But because of all of that, we show a net worth of $640,000, down about $50,000 from last year because of the lack of offset against that depreciation. And the other interesting thing here is we show the value of our equipment currently of $230,000. That's, again, just a book number. Replacement value to buy those 3 machines and groomers new would be just north of $1 million, probably $1.1 million. Okay, the market today, because we checked one of the machines last year, and the oldest machine, they gave us a quote of $150,000 to $175,000 alone for it. So they're worth much more than $230,000. So as a club, our net worth is way understated on this report. But it's not that the report's wrong, that's just how the accounting works. So that's the treasurer's report. Do we have a motion to approve, or is there any questions? Is there a motion to approve? Pam, thank you. Oh, hey, look who's here, Ron. Thank you. Appreciate it. We have a second, Ron. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, thanks. Are we thirsty tonight? Because we're flying through this stuff awful fast. Okay. All right. This area of the bylaws revisions vote is Cindy led this effort. They did a lot of work, put a lot of work into updating it. I think what we should do here is just hold this until next month, because if you ask too many questions about what was changed, I don't know if we're going to give the right answers or not, and the best answers. So I would suggest, I mean, I have a few headlines of things that were changed, stuff like reorganizing roles and responsibilities for board members, updating residency requirements, just a handful of things like that were updated. And this wasn't done on a whim. It was, it took months and multiple meetings of people putting their heads together on it. But I think it deserves a chance to be spoken to, and that should come from Cindy. So if there's any issues with that, let me know, but we'll move past it, and we'll get that next month. There's no rush. Okay, trail report. I think Dan has a couple of things, and then Mark probably has a few more. Mark and Lori.
Good evening, all. Lots of work going on behind the scenes with some trail reroutes that we're working on. Not going to get into great detail about it yet because it's a puzzle in motion and there's pieces of it that we're waiting to get answers on. But we've made great positive progress on the 13 South reroute, getting the corridor reopened. So hopefully we'll have some updated news for you on that soon, depending on several factors. You may have heard about the airport reroute. Basically, that's not a complicated reroute. It's basically moving the trail away from the airport property. That was at the FAA's discretion, and we've moved it over along Highway 45. It will just continue north from the crossover that goes over to the high school area across the horse pastures. We'll continue up on the west side of Highway 45 to Highway G and turn west for a short bit and then cross Highway G to connect where it exists at this time. That's really all I've got right now. Again, we'll have more details and updates for everyone when that information is available. Mark, did you want to come up and talk about brushing?
Hey, partner. You're 6'6" and you had to come up here. That's right. Hi, everybody. First, I'd like to thank the workers that helped with the brushing 2 Saturdays ago. We had 27 people that showed up, plus the helpers for putting on the lunch. So kudos to everybody. I saw with the sign up that this week we have some people that won't be there, but we have probably 8 new people that are going to be helping out. So it's great to have a little fresh amount of people to help out. So looking forward to meeting them. So 2 Saturdays ago, we had 5 groups that went out. And so we'll have probably 4 for sure that'll go out this coming Saturday. So everything went well. Everybody kept the fingers that they had on their hands. So it was a great time, great weather. So I think this week we'll have to bundle up a little bit more than what we did a couple weeks ago. So anybody have any questions at all? Comments or anything?
What percent of completion do you think we'll have?
Doug asked how many, what the percentage was that we had completed. And there was a lot of pre-work that crews went out and did. Jerry Lathrop and Corey and his son Jake. Ron did a lot of pre-work. So I'd say we're probably in the 60% range, close to where we were last year. Seemed like we did quite a bit, certainly more than half. So it was great turnout and just a lot of fun. Great food. This week we'll have the VRC's donation of hot dogs that we're going to have for lunch, along with homemade chili from Don McCain. So going to be good. So any questions, anybody?
Are we gaining on the width of the trails to where our future brushing will entail less each year?
I think, you know, I took a bike out today to do the bicycle trail is for what
Vilas County has got the equipment now that they're starting to be able to go out on some of the trails, the gas tax trails, which will help brush those trails, which will help all of us.
Yeah.
So,
I seen them in town today, run in the over and going down the trail after the snowplow.
so,
Yeah, the county has purchased a tractor with articulated arm on the back of the tractor, and they split up the gas tax roads. For instance, Pinchery or Mud Minnow, Ewald Lake, just does an awesome job with working on the trail brushing, making
but
it wider.
It has to be shared between all of the clubs and all of the parts of Vilas County, so it's not exclusively for our youth.
Yeah.
All right, Mark, thank you very much. Nice work, you guys. Nice work. Mark and Lori put a lot of time into trails and trail signs and all that work. So without them, I think we'd be in trouble. Okay, fundraising report. Couple things here. Groom the Ride tickets, they're printed. I know the tents and the posters are all printed, and I believe there are a team of people working on getting them out. How many are out or not, I do not know. But that's where that is right now. And we have a pretty good long selling season on those tickets. Unlike cash raffle, we'll sell, that happens what, in April? It does, doesn't it? 1st of April, right in that area or so. So we sell right up to 3 o'clock that day. So please jump in on that if you can. And, you know, we sell at a lot of different places too, right? It'd be probably a few less this year because we're not doing as many races. But if you see an opportunity where we're selling, please inquire and sign up, because sometimes that booth sits empty. Tickets are there, but we don't have anybody to man it. So, nor do we have a time machine for them, but that's probably something we could come up with, isn't it? An automated selling station. And the other comment, we talked about this before, seeking leadership for cash raffle and Groom and Ride ticket distribution. So these are two very different projects. They're both serious fundraisers for us. Listening back at the treasurer's report, you know, we run our self-made revenue. That's money that does not come to us from the state for grooming, has to be around that $60,000, $75-ish thousand. Cash raffle, Groom to Ride, they're a big piece of that. Map ads and pond hockey are really what rounds out the big hitters for that revenue. So we need those. And all we're really asking there is somebody to coordinate that stuff. And there's 2, 3 people, 4 people around the club that have done it in the past that can certainly walk somebody else new through it. And somebody doesn't have to take both them on. If somebody wanted one, jump in. If somebody wanted them both, that's fine too. But they're very important to us. They come at different times of the year, like cash raffle starts now and goes in through, Groom to Ride starts now and goes in through April, and cash raffle comes out, when? March, and goes into Labor Day. So those are the timelines there. And there really aren't a lot of work. It's just too few people right now have a lot of those kinds of things on their plate. And so if you ask them, they feel like it's a lot of work, but really it's not. And then this is in its preliminary stages yet, but as you all know, you know, we're looking and seeking and thinking about upgrading our building somehow. And the thing about a building project, selling hot dogs alone isn't going to get us there, right? It's a big number. So we need some new and creative thinking and a whole different approach. And a consultant has said to us, and I say consultant, it's a local person who offered to come in and talk to us because they have a lot of experience in this, says your board should not be doing that. That needs to be its own committee, just focused. Small committee so they can make decisions quickly and keep the thing moving. But it's going to take a whole different look, a whole different effort. You know, talking to people about philanthropy, talking to larger businesses that can take on bigger chunks of that. What are all the rewards for donors? How's that whole thing come together? That is a skill set that probably a number of us do not have. If you have any background, know of have any background, or just have a lot of energy around it, please step up on this. It would be great to put a small team together and let them run with that. It may take us a couple of years. I don't know, right? Because it's a big nugget. But please think about that one. Any questions? Okay, Sandy, volunteer report. Anybody want to take on 50? I'm sorry. I'll do 50 if you do the other.
I am trying to do the 50-50, but Debbie normally does it, so. Okay, so we have chosen to not do so many events at the Derby track this year due to volunteer, not having enough volunteers and burning out the volunteers that we do have. So we did speak with the Derby track, and we will be doing the first one, which is vintage. And that will be on January 8th through the 11th, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I don't have a time to sign up yet because I don't have times from them that they want us there. So as soon as I get that, I'll get it out on the website. And then pond hockey is going to be our big one this year for really needing a lot of volunteers. And that's going to be January 29th through February 1st. So Thursday is set up out there, and that requires a lot of people. We get all the garbage cans set up. The tents are set up, but we have to set up our grills, tables, put flooring down. So it really is a lot of manpower. If you could be there, or if you know of people that can come out, please show up. I'll have that on the website to sign up as well, with time to sign up. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we will be serving, and we'll be doing beer and food. If you have a bartender license, that's great because we can use bartenders out there. We need bartenders on site and helping with selling the beer. I'm not sure this year. There may be another alcohol product that we'll be selling. It's not been committed yet. So as soon as we know, we'll let you know. And then the next event we have is going to be Clean Snowmobile Competition on February 8th to the 12th. And Doug knows a little bit more about that one.
Yeah, so that's not a fundraiser. That's a little bit of a human interest event, if you will. Quickly, the history on it. About 20 years ago, the Society of Automotive Engineers took on the people at Yellowstone National Park when, if you remember, Yellowstone said no more snowmobiles in the park at all. And there was a couple of years where nothing could be in there. Well, the SAE came forward and said, you know, nobody has done anything to either regulate or improve snowmobiles' emissions to date. And we feel, because we have the knowledge, we being the SAE, they could do something about it. And so with that, the end result was that they were able to open Yellowstone back up, and it's managed. It's 100 or something sleds a day that can go through there. It's 4 strokes only because they are the cleanest sled, and at least they got some activity back into that park again. But an offshoot of that was, let's put some of these college engineers to work on helping us figure out how to make snowmobiles more emission effective. And out of that came the Clean Snowmobile Competition. And that is where they pulled together. Initially, they had over 20 colleges who had a snowmobile or multiple, and a team of engineering students that went to work and did all kinds of things. And they were tasked with reducing weight, improving fuel mileage, reducing emissions, reducing sound, and all them kinds of things. And the competition meant that they spent time, their school time and school money, building the snowmobile, and then they bring it to, and originally it was up in Marquette, Michigan. I think it was in Houghton, and then they moved it down to the track off and on over the years, but they really love it here at the track. And I got involved when we were asked to make the track for them, and it's part of the track was up in the parking area. We're on race day in the parking spots, and a lot of it was down inside the pits of the track itself. And it's various things, various stuff, if you will, that they're testing. And they have some high-tech testing equipment, some high-tech sleds, and some very brilliant young kids that are working on this stuff. And so myself and Randy Barr and a few others have had the chance to work with them. Well, last year the SAE said enough and done. They accomplished their mission and they backed out of sponsoring this thing. And they would bring in they had a lot of pull. So they would bring in, they could get Arctic Cat there, send 5-6 engineers in to help run the show. Polaris had 5 or 6 engineers in, and then people from different parts of the automotive industry. So you had all this knowledge that came in, and anything from rating, grading, running, making coffee, all that kinds of stuff. Well, when the SAE backed out, now we know that we're going to struggle to get some of these other corporate previous sponsors in here. And so they're asking us to be available. They'd like 20 people or so. And the event takes place in 3 days. It's really 4 days worth of work. It wouldn't be all day. It wouldn't be a lot of stuff. But the sell on this that I'm going to provide is it's kind of a cool place to hang out, talk to some of the kids, look at the snowmobiles. There's some impressive things that they do, and some that could use a little work yet, but nonetheless it's kids learning, and it's well worth our time down there. So we'll tee that up a little bit. Without the sponsorship, they hope to have like 15 colleges. It'll be a little reduced size, but it's just the guys that ran this and volunteered before got together, and a couple of the previous sponsors, and said, hey,
I'm going to add one more thing with the track this year. Since we won't be doing all the races out there and doing the concession stand, that doesn't mean that you can't volunteer over there. We're just not going to do it as a club. The club is, like I said before, we have a core group of volunteers that volunteer for everything. And then we have a lot that just pop in and out too, and we appreciate everyone there. But we're kind of burning people out with all this events in the winter, and we're snowmobilers too, so we want to have time that we can get out and ride. Pond hockey is going to be our big money maker this year, so those are that's 4-day weekend, and then you add another 4-day here and another 4-day there with the derby track, then we're taking up a lot of your time. But having said that, just talk to them over at the track. If you still want to volunteer at the concession stand or helping them do anything over there, they're more than willing to take you on, because they're going to need help, and they're probably going to reach out to other snowmobile clubs, I believe, to see if they can run the concession stand when we're not there. Thanks.
all right, thank you, Sandy. Sandy puts an awful lot of time into that work. She does too. She's another one of those. Without Sandy, I'm not sure what we would do. So thank you so much. All right, Carol Lynn is not here tonight as well, but everything we need to know about safety snowmobile schools coming up here. It is this weekend, isn't it? At Trees for Tomorrow. Obviously, it's a great event to teach kids how to ride snowmobiles, but I think it's also a good foundation for the future of this club, is to get those young people involved early. So any questions? I don't know where we stand in terms of being full. They generally do fill up. Okay, Pam, this is your screen.
Snowmobiles in October.
Virtual reality.
Okay, we have a Snow-Eagles night out next Thursday night at the Mexican restaurant, Agave Azul. I don't know if I ever say that right, but cocktails at 6 and dinner, or cocktails at 5, dinner at 6. Costumes, if you're brave. Chris has agreed to dress up for that, so should come and see that. Please RSVP, if you will, to my email, pam@snoweagles.org. And the other event that we have coming up, social event, is the Christmas party on December 11th. This year it's going to be at Eddie B's White Spruce. It is $40 a person. That does include tax and gratuity. And on the menu, we have, it's going to be a buffet style, including appetizers, roast beef, ham, mashed potatoes, corn, stuffing, salad rolls, and dessert. RSVP by December 4th, and you should be able to do that on the event page. I don't think it's set up quite yet. I need to get that over to Carol Lynn, so that can go on the website and you can RSVP and pay through there. So that's about it. If anybody has any suggestions for Snow Eagle Night Out, if there's somewhere you'd like to see us go, shoot me an email and I'll set that up for a future night out. Okay?
Thank you, Pam. By the way, I grew up with Pam, and she's been setting up parties for years. This is nothing new for her. Okay, membership update, Carol Lynn. Again, the data's there. Members 240, I think that represents some of that decline, at least at this point in time. We do have several more map advertisers I know to get in there yet. So if you haven't re-signed up yet, please move ahead and get that done if you can. Appreciate it. Note also there's a groomer replacement spot on there. So please do what you can. Okay. Vilas County Snowmobile Association update. Roger and I were at a meeting last week. There was a number of cool things going on. One, there's new equipment rates coming out. I don't know exactly what they are, but we get hourly rates paid for a drag for a groomer under a certain horsepower. You get a little more for a bigger one. When somebody takes out a chainsaw, there's all these rates that come into us, and it's very, sorry to say this, but government type program, detailed how that comes together. I was shocked when I learned how all this works. But some of those rates will go up, and we get labor rates as well. So that should help our grooming payment at the end of the year a little bit. The most interesting thing, if you recall, we talked about zones. Vilas County in the past always opened their trails when conditions were right, and then left them open until close enough to the end of the year when it looked like there's no more snow coming and the trails aren't good. Whatever that date was, they would close. In between those two dates, they had to remain open no matter what conditions were like. So, when it was down to dirt down here because maybe we didn't get the same amount of snow as the Presque Isle area, which often happens, it didn't look like we should be riding. And generally, people finally figured that out and stopped riding. But now, last year was a breakthrough year. There was a effort to create zones, like a north zone, a south zone, or east zone, a west zone, so that some clubs could open and some could choose to remain closed. Last year was and every club had to agree, open or closed. And so I remember last year, and Roger gets the vote, and he reluctantly said, okay, we'll open, because there were 10 other clubs with, who had restaurant and bar owners there adamant that we should open, and said, hey, we got to open. And even though we knew it wasn't in our best interest. Well, the idea of the zones had a lot of cons to it. And so the resulting conversation, which was concluded last week, was that each club will make their own decision, okay? And we are also allowed, which we did one time last year, to close trails with the intent to reopen if there's enough season left and the possibility that we would get conditions, okay? And so this is right, I think, where we want to be. This is how a lot of clubs in the southern part of the state work, that I know. And they may open and close several times through the course of the season, mostly close than open, but they do. And so that'll be on us as well this year as a club. Now, I think there's some gentlemen agreements that will take place, like, hey, you know, St. Germain, are you guys planning on opening? Well, we thought would be Saturday. Well, we were going to open Friday. Okay, we'll join you for Saturday, that kind of stuff, right? To try to make it a little easier on the rider to keep up with all that stuff, because the rider is responsible for their own decision making. There's hotlines and there's signage, and that all has to be managed. So it's not like we can open and close these trails every week. That's a lot of work, Mark, right? Yeah. But if it happens once or twice through the year and it comes to our benefit, that's what we're going to do. Anything to add? Okay. So that is coming down the way. Bridge grants, money, there's always a separate area in the state for money for bridge repair. That's drying up. And so a lot of conversation about taking care of bridges, keeping the weeds off, away from the wood and that kind of stuff to make these last longer, because more and more bridges are going to get repaired on club money going forward. That's just what we see happening. Let's see. There might be a couple other things worth mentioning here. Trail passes, cost of trail passes are going to go up. I don't have that number either, but keep in mind, trail passes price has been stagnant for 12 years. It's a long time. Not too many things we buy today haven't had a price increase in 12 years. I know in my 25 years of riding in the UP, there's probably been 20 trail pass increases there. And we haven't had that, so they're going to go up. And that's a good thing for us, really, because that money comes back. Fatalities occur because people miss the landings and they hit the banks of the lake. And we've had those. I think 3 years, it was our only fatality in the county was one of those last year. Yeah. So there's some work to be done about putting a flashing light there. Which light and so forth was voted on, and how that shakes out, we'll see. But look for that coming. Maybe a well-lit flashing beaker. So that's it for the county. You know, again, if anybody's interested in going to one of those meetings, we don't run to take a bunch of people, but there's usually room for someone to go along if you want to see how the county works and or get involved in it. Okay, member comments. Unfortunately, Ms. Cheryl Storms passed. I think everybody here pretty much knew her. I think Ken and Cheryl were some of the first people we met when we went to a night out. When we were new members, and they were very gracious and inviting. They recognized that we were new and made sure we felt welcome. So she's going to be remembered. Anybody have any comments to make? Okay. Well, unfortunately. So hopefully we'll get back with Ken and get him back involved and see what we can do for him. Okay, that concludes the business portion of the meeting. Next one, November 20th, right back here again. We'll be in the thick of Thanksgiving and deer hunting and that at that point in time, but any membership we can get would be much appreciated. So a couple cool pictures of trail brushing. If you haven't done it, it's fun, and you don't have to work that hard. Right, Ron? I'm asking the wrong guy. If you want to get outworked, hang with Ron. Yeah, for sure. Okay, any other thoughts, comments? Is there a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Jerry. Second? Linda? Bunch of them. Okay, thank you.
35 seconds.
The vote? Everybody agree?
All in favor?
Say aye. Nay? Nothing. Okay. Sandy, it's back at you again.